Okay, we're here with Florrie for hotpress.com. The last time you were over here, you played the Academy in February, and your introduction EP was just out around the time. You were on the verge of bringing out your new EP, which would turn out to be called Experiments. So,
Yes.
What's the difference between those two?
I think the new EP is probably a little bit more commercial, I guess, just in terms of the sound, and it sounds funny, but more musical, and by that I mean there's a lot going on in it. If you listen to like Experimenting with Rugs, and there's so many different parts going on, and it's more organic, and there's like a bit more guitar than the last EP and things like that.
Mm-hmm. It was a fairly quick turnaround process between EP1 and EP2, so like what have you learned even from being in the studio? And because obviously you're very, very involved with the music itself.
I guess I'm always learning like new stuff, but I go with my instinct on songs, and obviously I work very closely with Brian Higgins, who is the producer, so he advises me on things. But I guess it's what am I trying to say? Yeah, so I write a lot of songs, and then we'll pick sort of at the last minute my favourite ones of those, and it's purely about like the ones I like the best, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Is it particularly hard though to only pick 4 or 5 tracks?
Yeah, definitely. But then I like to think that I'll put the others out at some point as well, whether it's on an album or I'm always writing new stuff, like trying to better it, so probably be a mixture of old and new ones.
You interact with your fans quite a bit, like you're on Facebook all the time and that kind of thing. So, what was the reaction like? Were you nervous? Because by the time the second EP came around, you'd amassed quite a bigger fan base, so
yeah.
A lot more people to please.
Yeah, I think I'm never going to please everyone, especially as it gets bigger and bigger. But I was definitely nervous about it, just because I think as the further along you go with it, the bigger the expectation.
Mm-hmm. And like, were you surprised at the reaction, or did you expect the? Because it's been fairly positive, so.
Yeah, I think because obviously I loved it so much. It's an amazing feeling to know that other people do as well. But I was nervous, but on the other hand, I was quite confident with what I was putting out because I did think it was really good. So.
Mm. Your travels have taken you around the world. Like you were in Japan quite recently. So what can you tell us about
that? Never been to Japan before. And I actually went there after a gig in Shanghai, which was for Miu Miu, like a fashion show, sorry, which I played there, and then went to Tokyo afterwards. But it's an amazing place. Just had meetings about putting out my records there, because a lot of their music is from Japan, like they sort of know Lady Gaga and things like that, but they don't have a lot of Western music. So, we were just talking about how to do that. And everyone over there was so, like, genuinely lovely people and couldn't be more helpful and, like, really felt welcome.
Mm-hmm. How did the meetings go?
Yeah, really good, really good. I mean, we're still talking about it, like how to do it, but no, it should be good.
And you're just back from LA, where you were in the studio yet again.
Yes, yeah.
You're behind the drum kit once again. So, is this for the album, or is this going to be another EP, or like what are we looking at here?
It's sort of building a body of work. So, some of the tracks will be on the new EP, which is out probably beginning of November, and then other tracks I'll save for an album. But I was drumming because we were going to create tracks around my drum, so literally just starting off with a wicked drum beat and then like building the music around it, which I've played on my own tracks before, but we've never really started with my own drumming as the sort of the first part of the song structure.
And how does your session drummer feel about that?
He's okay, he's really cool.
You're still playing live though, I presume?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I play like a stand-up drum kit, and it's really important for me to kind of play on my own tracks, like play drums or guitar on the new tracks, as well as the old ones. Yeah.
You did start out drumming for Girls Aloud, like most famously. One of my colleagues is particularly fond of The Promise. He said it's the best pop record of the last decade. So he said to say thanks very much for that. Do you have good memories of doing that, or like did you always kind of feel like you wanted to get from behind the kit on to the centre of the stage?
No, I've been drumming since I was 6, and like playing on the Promise, I'd only been at Xenomania for a week maybe. So, and I was 18, and 18 on nearly 19, and it was an amazing experience. Like watching it go from just some chords and then putting the drums down and then building into a record, and then it got to #1 and won a Brit Award and stuff. So. It was an amazing kind of first thing to do of that sort of thing, like session drumming on a record. So.
It's quite a baptism of fire. Like, did you feel like you were being tested, like for a future thing, or was this just like, because that is a hell of a first job?
Yeah, a little bit. It was definitely thrown in at the deep end, definitely. But it was good because I like to push myself, and I'm really ambitious and determined. If I'm going to do something, and I'm going to do it to like 100%. And I think it was a good way to start off.
Like Xenomania is kind of renowned for obviously being a bit of a pop hit factory. So, what's the setup like there? Is it a good support system?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have an amazing team around me, and not just from Xenomania.